I'd just like to thank every single person who has donated to the Rounds Rant GoFundMe startup. Your generosity it's absolutely incredible. So I'd like to thank Dave Joyther, Crowner, Sean and Paddy, Simon, Kev, Bobby, Nicker, Gilso and Emo. Without you guys, and the other people who donated, I don't know how much longer I could have kept this going. So to be able to keep this going, it's an honour, and I cannot thank you enough. So without further ado, enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Rounds Rant. Today I'm joined by Rebecca Black, who's an American singer and YouTuber who gained extensive media attention with her single Friday, which was the most viewed YouTube video of 2011. More recently, Rebecca has just released an album entitled Rebel, along with regularly posting vlogs on her YouTube channel. Rebecca, firstly, thanks a million for coming on the show, and secondly, how are things with you today?
Thanks so much for having me. Things are really, really good. Yeah. How are you?
I'm good. It's 9 o'clock here, so I'm coming up to my bedtime, but I'm looking forward to this interview.
Okay, I'll try not to keep you up too late tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Well, first question is just about your upbringing. You grew up in California, and I'm just wondering what it was like to be a young person growing up in that state.
Yeah, I'm from Orange County, which is about an hour outside of LA. And I mean, growing up in California, California is the state in the US that has so much variety, whether you're up north, whether you're down south, even the difference between LA to Orange County. I mean, it was nothing. It's not like I grew up in Hollywood at all. It was pretty quiet until I moved up here, or really started working up here, I guess, in 2011.
Okay. And I always remember the first moment I saw Blink-182 on the television, and that's what sparked my interest in picking up guitar, or in my case, bass guitar. Was there a particular moment or person that inspired you to get into music in the first place, or was it just a natural kind of progression that you kind of took up guitar, took up piano, or took up singing?
Oh gosh. I mean, I, from the age of like 3 years old, I think I started in dance classes, and it was just the one thing that, my parents kind of decided, oh, well, let's do something to keep her busy. I was put into dance, and then my brother into sports, and they kind of nailed it with the both of us. We both really liked what we did. And it was third grade for me, which was like the year 2006, I think, when I picked up piano, because my mom always had a piano in the house. I think it was a gift from my dad. And she would always play. And she had played for basically her entire life, and decided to re-pick it up seriously again with a teacher and with lessons. So I kind of took over, and I really loved it. And I would just play and play. And from then I started singing a few years later. And I just kind of, I got addicted almost to music and listening to it and then performing it. And then I found my place on stage. So I guess it was pretty natural.
Pretty natural. It sounds natural anyway. And next question, just to kind of fast forward a few years into your teenage years, you released the song Friday. And I'm just wondering what was the spark that led to it actually happening? And then also to follow up that question, was there any other options or song ideas that could have been used as well that were turned down at the time, or was it just always going to be that particular song, Friday?
Friday was, I was in middle school at the time. I was 13, and still, like, at that point, my love for music and performing had only just like expanded and kept going. And I was too young to, I was nowhere near college yet, but I knew there was something to this that I couldn't get away from. Like I was always either in musical theater or trying different things out. I was still picking up piano, and I tried a little bit of guitar at that point. Like, I was just starting to like find my way, I guess, like really early stages. And someone I went to school with had worked with this company over the summer and had ended up basically with a song, a music video, and it just looked like a great experience. And for me, I had no connection at all to Hollywood. I didn't have a parent that was, you know, a producer, or a mom who had been an actress in another life. Like I had no means of, LA was so far away to me, even though it was only an hour away in real life. But this was something where I could get some sort of experience. I thought like, okay, if I did one of these for myself, I could sort of figure out if I actually would like this or not, because here I am doing school plays and, I don't know, dance classes and going on auditions, and things like that. But I didn't have any real studio time, or I didn't really know what a setup of a studio was. It was so foreign. And that was a way to just find out if I even liked it.
And how did the whole video process take place? Because obviously the reaction was huge, but I'm just wondering, how was the video shot? Did you have to do it yourself, or did the company help out, or how did it take place?
It was basically, I totally realized there was another question. Was there another song? Yes, there was another song. It's okay. Yes, there was another song before Friday, and this actually kind of ties into the whole thing. Basically, the company sent over a song, which was about love. And I think it was called Superwoman or Superhero. And it was about being someone's superwoman. And again, I was 13. I had just had my first relationship, which was like 3 days long. And I broke up with him because I couldn't even talk to him. Yeah. So the fact that I would be potentially singing this song about being someone's superwoman, I was like, no, there's no way. I can't make this work.
I don't think the superwoman gimmick would have probably held up.
Exactly.
It was a 13-year-old flying
exactly around. So I asked, hey, is there anything else? And then Friday was what was next. And at that point, like, one, I felt bad asking for anything else. I kind of felt like I was stretching it by saying no and saying, no, this isn't really for me. And also it was fun. Like, I know a huge part of Friday was that people were like, oh, the songwriting is weird, or it's real simple, or saying even harsher things than that. But as a 13-year-old, like, I know 13-year-olds are even much more advanced than I was then now, but that was kind of what I like to do. I like to hang out with friends after school. I liked the weekends because I was stuck in school all week. Like, in my brain, that was fine. I wasn't looking for my like big hit, so it didn't matter to me that much.
Just to follow on from what you were saying, were you initially delighted to see it do so well, or were you kind of taken aback by it?
I mean, there was like a month of it. Basically, it got uploaded, which the waiting game to even see the finished product was huge to me, because we filmed one day in January. Oh my gosh, I just realized we're actually tomorrow, the day after we're recording this, is what year is it? 2018, the 7th year anniversary of when it was uploaded online. And so...
Wow. So yes. February 10th.
So there was like a month of, okay, we filmed the video, it's done. Now we wait and see. Like it's not like, it wasn't, I think it's much more normal for the artist to be much more involved in the process of editing the video and putting it together. But with this, I had no idea what I was doing. So it just kind of happened. I showed up almost as if I was an actress on a set. I filmed the song, or I filmed the video, and then it was uploaded and I saw the finished product. And it was like a month of it had gotten a couple thousand views, which was pretty normal for where it was uploaded. And then about a month after, once it took off, I think it was just shocking. Like I went into a little bit of shock because it came out of nowhere. All of a sudden there were, 3,000 views one night to like 14,000 views the next morning to then 250,000 views the next day. And then by the end of the weekend, it was like over 1 million, and it just kept growing from there. So my brain couldn't really process.
Was there ever a time that you kind of considered that it could be better off to take it down? Because when the video became such a internet sensation, there was obviously some of the negative and hurtful comments that came your way with that. Was it very difficult to deal with all those hurtful comments? And was there a stage where you thought maybe it'd just be best to get rid of it and, take a step back and then maybe try again in a few months?
In a few months. Oh gosh, a
few years.
At that very first day, because it was crazy how there was like one day which it just blew up. That day I was on the phone with it was me, my mom, and the company, and they asked me, hey, like, we can take this down and just like pretend like it almost never happened, if that's what's going to make you feel better or what. Because I was obviously, right after I saw the views, I saw the comments, and like any kid or person would, it was really hurtful. And also to put that together with the shock of like, what is going on? Why is this happening? Who did this? They asked if I wanted to take it down, and I think it was the Latina in me that was like, how dare you ask me that? Like, no, we're not going to take this down. No, we're not. Like, I don't even know if I totally knew if I could handle what was to come, and I definitely didn't know what was to happen. But after going through some bullying in my own life beforehand and having a hard time growing up with kids and people in my close circle being really kind of rude to me, like a lot of kids deal with, I was tired of like letting everyone else have the last word. I was tired of letting everyone kind of tell me what I should do. And I definitely didn't know how to handle it, but I knew there was, I don't know. I just knew I couldn't take it down. So I didn't.
Well, like today, it's based around the internet and personalities everywhere, all over the world. But I just feel that the access young people have, say today, to social media and sites like Spotify and YouTube, it wasn't the case back then. And it was very easy for young people or even old people. I'm sure we're sipping on haterade, just forgetting that there was a young teenage girl behind the song and all those comments were being seen probably by her. So I there is a bit of sympathy that perhaps if that Friday song was released today, it wouldn't have been as drastic as it turned out to be. But I suppose it's just the nature of the game. It was the Justin Bieber era.
Totally. I mean, YouTube, I would say YouTube was still like a baby in that case. And some would even say YouTube is kind of somewhat of a baby now. Back then, like, YouTubers weren't the presence or didn't have the like immense crazy presence that they do on the site now. It was still very much memes and like viral videos and these standalone kind of things. I loved YouTube at that point, and I had already, actually a lot of people don't know this, but when I was in, I think 7th or 8th grade, right? It was actually kind of right before Friday. I loved YouTube so much that I had made a few myself, but the moment I got like one weird comment, I shut it all down. I was like, nope, this is too much. This is too weird. I don't know. No. But, then sure enough, like 6 months later, this ended up happening. But, yeah, people there were no,
Mm.
there wasn't Instagram, there was Twitter, but there weren't these. I feel like social media today is so complex and there's so many different ways you can show your story or show who you are. And like you said, the best part about YouTubers is how personal they are and how kind of it feels like they're close. Like it's not like these, huge A-list celebrities who are surrounded by a 10-pack security guard team all the time. But YouTube wasn't at that stage yet. So it was a lot of anonymous comments of people feeling like they could just say whatever they wanted and not face any sort of punishment or consequences.
Fast forwarding to today, social media, as you pointed out, it plays such a massive role in just even ordinary people's lives, celebrities, musicians, etc. I'm just wondering, do you think it's nearly essential for a musician like yourself to have social media pages to keep their fans informed? Or do you think all the negative comments that some people get, and it's just the nature of what social media can offer, do you think the positives outweigh the negatives, or is it vice versa?
That's a good question. I think the most important part, and I'm still figuring this out for myself too, because I go back and forth in my own brain. So I'm trying to hear my own advice here. I think the most important part is when you or not when, but you have to decide what you're going to do and stick to it. You have to decide you have to almost like set boundaries of what you're going to share. Or not going to share, because I have some musicians that I'm a huge fan of, just as a fan of music, and I have no idea what they post on social media, and I just go to the music. And some people I love don't post at all. They have no thing to that, but the music is what kind of drives their story, and that works for them. But then there are also people that I follow online where I love their personality and like I am consciously looking at them every day or like hearing what they have to say. So the danger is when you don't set those boundaries for yourself going into it, if you are, if you either want to do music or do some sort of a social media thing. If you don't set those boundaries, you run the risk of either sharing too much of what you were initially comfortable with, and then kind of regretting it. Or I've seen some certain people build a resentment of like, I've shared too much, but now I don't want to share that anymore. But now you've built this relationship with these people and your fans are real. Like they're very valid and they are who allows you to do this. So if you start sharing something and you kind of take it away from them, they have the right to be a little angry, I think, or be a little confused at least. So yeah, that's the hardest part, I think, is like knowing where you want yourself to fall when building this whatever kind of if it's social media or music.
Okay. Well, no, that was, as I said, it was an interesting topic, and
Completely.
It's obviously very topical today, especially because you still see so many stories, and even you have to look at even the president. His tweets pop up on the news every single day. So it's social media it's absolutely huge and relevant. To kind of rewind a little bit or get back on track, you released the song Saturday shortly after Friday, and I'm just wondering, was the reason behind that just to keep the momentum going and just have a bit of fun about the concept that you'd previously wrote a song about Friday? Or were you thinking, let's take it up a gear and try not replicate but outdo Friday?
There was actually a lot behind Saturday and a lot of intention that went into it, because at that point it had been a few years since Friday. And I'd constantly, and surprisingly, even though it exists now and it's out there for the world to see, I still get questions, when's the Saturday song? Or like, when's the Sunday song? Which at first really bothered me. And I was like, come on, that's so annoying. But I was like, you know what? Okay, I can give that and I can do it. I want to do it in a fun way and on my terms, because I felt like when Friday went on, it was like the rug just got swept underneath my feet and I landed straight on my back and like lost all breath. That's what it felt like. And I had no control. And at that point, I really just wanted to kind of like take matters into my own hands. And it wasn't to be this like, okay, like Friday's, you know, nothing and I want to make this great big hit. It was, I want to do something fun with my friends, and we all are down for this idea and to make it fun. So it was me and my friend Dave who co-wrote the song together within like, I don't know, an hour. One day we recorded it real quick, and then it was another few of my friends, Chris Greider, and my other friend Joey, who are also, I believe, YouTube creators at that point. Everyone was a YouTuber, and I had immersed myself in YouTube as a side note. I was like already much more on the YouTuber path, but we all were like, let's do it. Let's film this video and let's just have fun with it. Why not? And it kind of, it helped me a little bit with the comments and dealing with them, because I felt like I had a little more healthy control.
Following the Friday and Saturday, and as you said, there was years apart from those two songs, but you kind of went, I'm not going to say hibernation, because you obviously didn't go into hibernation literally. You took some time off. There was you weren't as active in the music scene as you obviously were. Did you just try to revert back to, quotation marks, normal life, or did you still actually pursue music, as you were saying, dancing, stuff like that, or did you just want to take a step back from it?
I needed to find my feet, because kind of going along with the analogy I used a few minutes ago, I had no idea any of that stuff that happened with Friday would happen. And there was a couple years of like absolute craziness where it was almost like feeling like I blacked out a little bit, because all of a sudden I realized, oh my God, I went to the Grammys. I won a Teen Choice Award, which is, for me, I think I was 14 at the time, to win a Teen Choice Award while that being like my favorite thing. That was just crazy. And at the same time, like there were so many amazing things that I got to experience from Friday. But I had also felt like, and I knew that something was not right, because I had been making this music that all of a sudden I didn't really love, that people had kind of said, hey, just trust me, do this, and this is what'll make you successful, or I want you to be the next blah, 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 or, you know, the new blah, blah, blah. But I didn't feel right. And I was still too young to really understand what I wanted. So my parents put me back into regular, like public high school. I finished up, I graduated. And in that meantime, I definitely quieted down in the sense of I wasn't going to the studio. I wasn't working on music, but I found YouTube in that time. And I found it in the way of, I found my own community with friends who I could work with and create content with and have some fun again, because I got kind of isolated with Friday. I literally holed myself up. I was homeschooled. I wasn't doing much. And so I found YouTube, which helped me find that. And then also start to find a community of people who could watch my videos and hear what I have to say and gain a little something from it. So in that period before I was making music again, I found my little, my spot.
Okay.
Yeah.
We talked about it earlier on, and about about how much you're willing to give to your YouTube followers or subscribers. I was just wondering, in the lead up to obviously releasing the first few videos, were you conscious of overstepping the line or not being a bit cautious in what you were saying or doing in the videos? Are we just clear on what you wanted to do and what?
I definitely didn't have that clarity at the jump. Like I didn't have a full setup plan, which sometimes, that's, I think, why I kind of said what I said earlier of there were pros and cons to having it and not having it. Having this plan and kind of way to go. But what I was so clear on was I wanted to be me on camera. And I was tired of, oh gosh, I feel like I've said it. I'm tired of so many times this. I'm so sorry. I'm not a perpetually tired person, but
I should be the one who's tired. It's 9:30 here.
It is. It's the middle of the day.
LA.
I'm very awake right now. But I need to think of a better word that I'm tired of. But at that point, I had kind of been manipulated into being this thing that everyone wanted me to be, whether it was like a team around me saying that, or all those comments, trying to influence me or tell me that I should be something else or not be there at all. So at that point, I just wanted to do what felt right with me and go with my gut. And that was, I think, what really paid off, because people got to know me as just something more than a 3.5-minute long music video where I didn't speak a word. We're saying words that were written for me. I love Friday. Don't get me wrong. Like, I feel like sometimes I get a little harsh on it, and I don't mean to, because especially now, 7 years later, I have built so much love for that song. It was just in those first couple of years, I hadn't processed anything. So I had mixed feelings.
I actually remember a funny enough story, and some of my friends would probably hate me for mentioning it, but when it came out, it's kind of like what it is now. It's kind of split down the middle. You either love it or people just tend to dislike it a lot, which is the nature of it. People rarely sit on the fence, but I absolutely adored it. And I'm not just saying that because you're on the podcast. So we set it as our alarm clock on a school trip. And at 7:30 every morning, the opening few bars of Friday would start banging out. And by the end of the third day, a phone could have potentially fell out a window suspiciously. But it was just funny because it split the room. Some people actually woke up and just started laughing. They were like, "Yes, I cannot wait for this day." While 2 or 3 other people were like, "Turn it off! Turn it off!" Yeah.
I love that. Oh my god. And it's actually fun to see. I surprisingly get a lot of people saying, hey, I really like that song. And maybe they were saying that in 2011. Maybe they were way too scared to say that in 2011 because the popular opinion was to say they didn't like it. And listen, I don't blame them, because I catch myself doing that thing with other viral videos too. And then I have to stop myself and say, hey, like, you should know more than a lot of these people what really goes on here. So I get it. And the song is not, I would not compare it to anything by Radiohead or anything by, any of my favorite artists. It's not there. But I think the shame of, the negativity that came with that song it was just so innocent. And like, I was such a little kid that anytime I see something similar happen to someone young nowadays, I just hope the kid behind it is okay, because they're a kid at the end of the day.
No, I agree. So you've just recently released the new album, Rebel, as I mentioned in the intro, which represents your first, your proper album or EP, if you want to call it that. How was the entire process of that? Did taking tentative steps into YouTube give you the confidence to kind of think, listen, I could go back into music and I can write my own music. I can get the right team of producers, songwriters around me and make a very good, considerate album. And I'm just wondering, what was the process of the entire album leading up to it?
It was a long process. Sorry to cut you off a little there. It was real long. Took like two years, I think, of specifically working towards that EP, or working on music for that EP to, before we released it. And by the time I had graduated high school, I knew, which was like 2015, I knew that I was ready to like take that leap again. And I was officially an adult where I could start making my own decisions. And so I decided I'm going to move out. I'm going to move up to LA and I'm just going to try it out. And it wasn't an easy decision, especially being my parents are, again, nowhere, they're not in this industry. And because of my experience, they weren't necessarily trusting in it. But they respected me and they allowed me to go and give it a shot. And I just found my way into a studio and I started working with a team that helped me, get in touch with even more producers and just start writing. And that beginning process, like the first 3 months was the toughest because I really got to see the negative outcome of Friday, which was a lot of insecurity. And I hadn't realized how much those hate comments and all of that criticism had affected me until I started having to really be honest and write some music that made any sense. That was the hardest part. And there were a lot of tears. There were a lot of difficult conversations and just a lot of pushing through to get to a place where I could become confident again and start trusting myself. And so the first single off of Rebel was The Great Divide, which that day as I was walking into the studio, I was fresh off of like one of the biggest cries I'd had in a long time because I just was feeling so insecure and like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I just was kidding myself this entire time. This was so hard. And then I went into the studio that day and I started talking about what was on my mind. And that led to, you know what? Let's make a song about what's really going on and let's be honest. And that song ended up being like it, and what started off the EP. So the whole process was, I mean, gosh, if I took you through the entire thing, we would be here until tomorrow or even longer. But after The Great Divide, like my confidence just surged completely.
And it was obviously really important for you to, because you've previously said, obviously in this interview and other interviews, that you always talked about wanting to do something yourself that's true to you, that's your songwriting, it's got your melodies, etc., etc. Like with tracks like Wasted You, Heart Full of Scars, and a few other of the tracks on the EP, they do bring up some deep enough lyrics about your past that probably relate to Friday and other parts of your childhood. Like, did you feel nearly a pressure on yourself to include those maybe darker periods of your life rather than paint this lovely, happy picture that all is perfect? Or was it kind of a case of you just, without sounding too philosophical here, that you kind of delved into your soul, did a bit of soul searching and realized that, as you kind of said, there is some dark things in here that need to kind of come out in the form of music?
I'm trying to put the words together of what I'm trying to say. Everyone at some point or another realizes like, okay, I'm going through life. I need to find my purpose. Like, why am I here? And for a long time, I actually didn't. Then again, for a long time, God, I'm only 20. When I was a teenager, didn't realize that yet. I was like, I don't need this. What is this purpose stuff? That sounds real hippy dippy and not my thing. But at one point, I kind of realized, okay, this like really bizarre thing happened to me when I was younger, and I could either ignore it and pretend like it never happened and just kind of live on my life, keep ignoring it and just pretending like it never happened. And maybe that'll be easier for me. But I think I realized that little tick in my head that I called my little Latina side when I said, no, don't take this video down, was that kind of sparked the start of a potential purpose for me. So when writing this music, and now, like, now that the music is out, and I just did this tour, which maybe we can talk about later. I don't know. But I realized, okay, I went through something pretty extraordinary, and you can take that as a positive or a negative. And I can use that and the empathy and the experience and the hurt and the pain that I went through to help someone else. That is going to make me not only feel better, but at the end of the day, just help someone. So even though it was difficult to talk about what kind of happened and what really like went down during Friday and the years after, it has shown to be so worth it. And to have people come to me of, you know, whether they're young and my age or older, and say, hey, like, thank you for talking about this. You got through this, and I feel like I can get through what I'm going through in my own life. That is like everything.
That's one of the moments where the positives outweigh the negatives.
Completely.
And you mentioned it there, the tour that followed the album release. How liberating was that for you to not be attached to, because all your previous performances on television are attached to that. People are probably saying, play Friday, all that. How rewarding was it and liberating for you to actually play your new songs that you actually took the time to write yourself, that you had your personal stamp on? And then to follow on from that, how good was it to see genuine fans react to your music?
It's been amazing. It's been now that it's out, such a sigh of relief. And I can connect so much more now that I don't have to say, yes, like, wait for the music soon. That is amazing. And it served as like a great base point to now keep growing and keep expanding and doing, you know, more music, also exploring other pathways that I've always loved as well. And that through Friday and through YouTube and all the experiences I've had, I've been able to see, oh, I'd love to work more on this, work more on acting, work more on hosting, all those things. It was incredibly nerve-wracking to be holding all of this stuff. And for me to finally have found some confidence, and now to know that, okay, here, I'm doing the same thing that happened 7 years ago. I'm putting it out there online. Let's see, you know, at that point I had gotten myself to a place of, okay, if I put this out and everyone hates it, whatever, I don't even care anymore. But I love having this moment for myself on my own terms. And it was amazing. I got to go tour right afterwards on this tour called Love is Love, which was so in line with that purpose thing I was talking about, of these were all kids that went for a purpose. There were a huge part of the tour was LGBTQ plus issues, otherwise known as LGBT. If anyone didn't catch all those letters I just threw at you. And just if you were ever feeling out of place in your life, Love is Love was a place to go. And I got to meet so many kids and parents, and play them the music, a lot of them for the first time. You know, there were multiple people on this tour. So if that was the first time them hearing that music, and for them to say, oh my gosh, this just totally like clicked for me, and thank you so much for playing this, I really felt something, that's been so amazing. So cool. I wish there was a better word to describe it.
Well, amazing's a good word to use. There's a lot worse.
Yeah.
And the last question before the quick fire round, which everyone tends to really regret once they do it. Is your future now to push on with the music, or, as you mentioned there, does any sort of television roles, or I don't know, fashion, or as you said, YouTube videos. Like, where do you want to see yourself in like the next year or two? Like, what do you want to be doing with yourself? Are you happy just to lay low for the next few months and see how it pans out?
I definitely am now able to focus on some other things, some other little journeys and stuff like that. I just got to wrap my first feature. I played a role in a feature film coming out, I believe, later this year or next year, which is awesome. That was really cool to be able to do that. And I want to continue exploring those avenues as well. But it has been important, and this is what I've been doing for the last couple months and will continue to do, is to lie somewhat low and continue to, I don't want to lose that thought that went into Rebel and like that passion and that drive. I would hate to rush something just to keep the the momentum going. To do that, because that would totally go against everything that I just did for that EP. So I'm trying to be patient with myself and just letting it flow, not trying to rush anything, but definitely not the end here. Only getting started.
Well, as you said, you're young,
yeah.
Very young. A lot of people tend to forget how young you are,
including myself.
65.
I feel like I'm at least past my midlife crisis, but I'm definitely not. Hopefully, I'm not there yet. Oh God, but yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
And so the quick fire questions.
Okay.
First thing that comes into your head, just say it.
Okay.
And deal with the consequences later.
Okay.
That's my philosophy towards it. So, first question is cats or dogs?
Oh, cats. I mean, I feel obligated to say that I've got one sitting right in front of me.
I'm a big fan, and I get slagged in Dublin for this, but I'm a big fan of watching Jackson Galaxy's My Cat from Hell show. So that's my guilty pleasure.
Oh my God, I love that show. I love that show.
Yeah, we're just basically... Cats go completely bananas and attack him, and then he's some sort of god creature who heals them. So
amazing.
For anyone who hasn't seen My Cat from Hell, go watch it.
I love that.
So,
and don't get me wrong, love dogs too, but cats, like, love them. Anyways, sorry.
Tea or coffee?
Tea. Yeah. I go back and forth on this one, but I love tea.
Your favorite band of all time?
Young the Giant.
Okay.
Are you familiar with them?
Young Giants?
Young the Giant.
No.
It's kind of a funky name. They're amazing. They had this song few years back called Cough Syrup that you may remember. I don't know if it was big internationally, but they're, I believe, from Orange County, same place as me. Hello. And they're just wonderful. Apartment is a song you've got to listen to. It's my favorite song of all time, I think.
I'll listen to it before my bedtime.
Beautiful.
So next question, piano or guitar?
Piano, definitely.
Your favorite film of all time?
I would say Almost Famous. Even though I just saw Call Me By Your Name, which... I don't know if you've gotten to see it. Oh my gosh. It's completely different from Almost Famous. But yeah, it was wonderful.
Now, this is going to be a controversial one considering you're actually in LA, but I thought I'd do it anyway.
Okay.
Hollywood, Santa Monica, or Beverly Hills?
Hollywood. Okay. Definitely. No question about it. And everyone, that is the one thing about LA. Everyone is so set on like their spot. And I used to live in Santa Monica, and I thought that would be my spot because I had a lot of friends over there and it's kind of what I knew better. But I moved to Hollywood a couple years ago, and I am so in love with it.
Well, at the minute, mine's Santa Monica, I'm not going to lie, mainly because of the beach. But I'll have an open mind next time I visit California, and maybe I might change my mind to Hollywood. So
Another definitely East Side as well. Check out like Silver Lake and Echo Park. Those are even
I
maybe
haven't been there.
even
I've
better.
been to Beverly Hills, Hollywood, Santa Monica, Venice, Huntington, but not Echo Park. So that's next on
Got
the
it.
list.
Yeah, go for it.
Favorite Simpsons character?
I've never watched The Simpsons. I'm so,
That's the end of the show. Thank you.
I'm
Wow.
sorry.
It's fine.
Lisa, is that Lisa?
Lisa. Yeah, Lisa is a
Lisa.
character.
Lisa.
Last two. Your favorite Netflix show?
Oh my gosh, why do I feel like I'm blanking? Okay, first one that came to my mind, there's one I have been watching. Oh my gosh, I want to say it's Australian, and it's called Just Desserts. God, I love shows like this. It's a baking show where they make these crazy desserts, and I believe it's hosted by a man called Zumbo, I believe is what he calls himself, and he does these like crazy, like weird desserts, but they look unreal.
I will check that out when I have 20 minutes to
Keep
kill.
an open
And I'll
mind.
probably,
Keep an open
regret.
mind. It's a little
I will.
out there, but it's so much fun.
What's there not to like about desserts, in fairness?
Totally.
Last question, and this is the tough one. There's a time limit of 50 seconds on this, or else we have to cease transmission.
Okay.
Describe yourself in 3 words.
Resilient, open. I'm going to go with loving. I'd say I'm pretty loving. God, that's so hard to do. It's like, even those words, I don't know, but I'm going to stick with them.
Nice. It's the toughest one by far. People really tend to have panic attacks when I ask it, so you're not the first and definitely not the last. So that concludes us, and I just would like to thank you for coming on, Rebecca, and it goes without saying I wish you all the best you wish to pursue in the next year or two. And I will be celebrating the 7th, or is it the 8th anniversary of Friday tomorrow morning?
7th. Thank you so much, by the way.
No worries. I'll put it as my alarm clock. So I'll wake up.
Beautiful. Don't let it confuse
back
you
to that
because
school
it's a
trip.
Saturday. But
Yeah. Thanks a million for coming on, and I wish you well.
You too. Thank you so much.